worse than that. You're talking about them seeing the most extreme pornography. You're talking about them being lured into self-harm sites and violence sites and bringing other children on to harm themselves on those sites. You're talking about idealising shooters and extreme violence and trying to replicate it. We're talking about really serious stuff here in some cases. So it's not just, I'm not just talking about, social media is a moral nightmare. I'm talking about something really serious.
Children's Commissioner for England, Dame Rachel Da Souza, has warned that children are becoming intoxicated with extremism on social media. Her report says 2/3 of children referred to Prevent, that's the government's counter-terrorism programme, were returned to the education system, and in nearly all cases without having received any support from the programme whatsoever. The Children's Commissioner, Rachel Da Souza, joins us now. Morning, Rachel.
Morning, good to be here.
Great to speak to you. What's new here, though? Because we kind of know that the online world is dangerous. Children are being radicalised. The world is one large sewer these days. What's changed in your mind?
So I've been looking for a long time at the Prevent programme, and I think the line in the sand for me were the Southport murders of those 3 beautiful little girls, and Prevent had missed the killer, had him and missed him 3 times. So I decided I was going to use my powers to really look at the data, how many referrals, who was referred, tried to talk to violence fixated children and talk to people on the front line. And I've talked to everyone from prison governors, counter-terrorism police, teachers, children, everybody. And I've got 2 issues and 2 problems that we need to solve. Number one, and you just identified it, is that about 70% of the referrals to Prevent, which is doubled, it's gone up, it's huge, it's about 5,000 kids a year now. About 70% of those referrals are for non-ideological radicalisation. And of course, the counter-terrorism police and Prevent were not set up for that. They're really good at taking a kid who's been radicalised by Islamic terror groups, or a kid who's far right extremist, radicalisation, and deprogramming them and sorting them out. But they don't know. This is a completely different thing.
So what you're saying, I think this is so important, Rachel, because what you're saying is there are things like Islamist terrorists who brainwash people, and the Prevent programme is designed to deal with those.
Yeah, and it's really good at it. It's really good at it.
But you're talking about if there's a child of 13, 14, 15, they go on social media
and younger, Stig,
and younger, and they're enraged, and they're made bitter, and they're made angry, and they see a lot of violence, and they become desensitized to violence, and that could create the same level of atrocity as a result, but there's no terrorist framework around it. They get missed by the system.
Exactly right. But Stig, I just push you a bit, because it's worse than that. You're talking about them seeing the most extreme pornography. You're talking about them being lured into self-harm sites and violence sites and bringing other children on to harm themselves on those sites. You're talking about idealising shooters and extreme violence and trying to replicate it. We're talking about really serious stuff here in some cases. So it's not just, I'm not just talking about, social media is a moral nightmare. I'm talking about something really serious.
Would this be solved by
and 90% of the referrals, from schools get pinged back.
Well, because they're not right, are they? From what you're saying, they shouldn't go to Prevent, because Prevent is an anti-terrorist organisation.
And that's the change we need. So I have proposed the changes that we need to move forward and deal with this, because this is keeping everyone awake at night, including me. It's keeping, head teachers, counter-terrorism police, everyone awake at night, because it's not been dealt with properly.
But will it be solved by the ban on kids going on social media before the age of 16?
So the first thing that needs to happen is that referral to Prevent needs to be seen as a time to take action. It's just who takes the action. In every local authority, there are senior safeguarding groups with senior professionals, multi-agency professionals. What I'm calling for today for the Home Office and the DfE to do is to make sure that any child referred to Prevent for non-specific ideology, violence, gets referred to that group, and a plan is made for them so that they don't bounce back. the Southport killer bounced around. No one knew what to do with him. Head teachers are in despair because things have been closed and children have been sent back and nothing's happening. I need the Home Office and the DfE to say the senior safeguarding multi-agency groups need to deal with, need to have a plan for each of these children. We cannot just let this float about. Now, on your social media question, it's a good question. You are right to ask me that because, we want children to experience the joys of the digital world. Everyone's talking about a ban as if this is that, and every child I speak to says, for God's sake, don't ban us. That's ridiculous. What do we need to happen? Look, we have the legislation. We have the online harms bill. All the stuff that the children I'm talking about are looking at is illegal.
Yeah.
What I need is Ofcom and the government to make sure that they enact the online harms bill and make these companies take this stuff down. No 9-year-old, no 16-year-old, no 17-year-old should be going on a site, should be allowed to be on a site that is watching others self-harm. Should they? They shouldn't. And that's what we need. And I'm hoping the new government will be robust in their approach to making the social media companies. I always say to the kids, we need to ban them. Until they're safe for you. I don't like banning language, but actually we need to make sure they deal with this.
I understand the point, and there's this big case we've just been talking about on this programme against Facebook in America, which might deal with some of these issues as well. Rachel, always good to speak to you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
That's Rachel Da Souza, the Children's Commissioner.
5 minutes.